Hey guys, it's Anne Marie. How's everybody doing? I hope your week is going well. I was going to pull some cards. However, I was led to do a story time for those of you who want to hear some juicy shit. And all the things I'm about to talk about can be verified actually by creators in this app that I've talked to when these things were actually occurring to me or occurring in my life recently, and as well as people at the clothing shop that I worked at that I unfortunately had to leave. And so I love telling what happens to me. These are true testaments that you're not crazy, to trust your intuition, and nothing is too far-fetched in this day and age, or ever. It's nothing too far-fetched. And because I know about chaos magic and confusion magic, because it's happened so many times to me, I write everything down. I have all kinds of little books that I keep in lock and key, that I write down just incidences and situations that's happened to me. And so this will definitely be more than one part. And because I have page after page about this incident, or this situation that I was in recently, that was actually supposed to help me, but it was a very, very good lesson, and I was able to really strengthen my spiritual gifts, and so for that, I'm grateful for. And this is not coming from an angry or vengeful place. It's actually pretty funny now that I'm out of it, because I really see how far people will go, the lengths they will go. And so I want to share with you what happened to me when I left Columbus. When I was illegally evicted, it was a crazy situation. I walked away from a 2-bedroom house, I left everything. I stored a few things here and there, but for the most part, I walked away from everything. And I didn't really have too much of a plan. Well, strangely enough, somebody reached out to me that lived at a distance from me, still in the same state, but at a distance. And though they weren't in the spiritual community I wasn't a part of, the spiritual communities were connected, because most spiritual communities and states, at least in Ohio, we can be in Columbus here, but there's people in Cincinnati, people in Dayton, people in Cleveland, people out west, whatever, that at bigger events they mingle and they go to each other's events. And so that's how this connection was. Now, I didn't really know her that well, but she messaged me actually on TikTok and said that she also walked away from the spiritual community because the woman that she was friends with was doing a lot of weird shit to her. And so when I was in this situation, she offered for me and the 2 cats to come stay with her where she was at. And it was a distance away from Columbus. And I was grateful, and I still am. I'm still grateful that she allowed us to come to her studio. And it was a very small studio. So it was literally the couch was here that I slept on. And then her bed was right behind there. And then right past her, where her bed was at, was they were actually old motels that they converted into apartments. So if you can kind of imagine the studio type of or hotels that used to have back in the day. Actually not back in the day, but recently. So anyway, when I fled Columbus, 2 guys in 2 black suits, and I did a video, showed up at my house, wanted me to sign some shit. And it was after 5 o'clock. They said they were from the courts. It was some weird shit. So I was like, you know what? The deputy's coming tomorrow to set me out anyway. And so I packed the 2 cats up, and we headed out, and we stayed at this woman's house. Now, and I'm going to refer to my notes here because it's not everything. I'm not going to share everything, but these are some really things that stood out the most. I wish I could do this under 10 minutes. But anyway, so when I first got there, my anxiety, and I did videos about this stuff, my anxiety was at an all-time high, and I thought it was just because I was adjusting because of what I just experienced and all the fuck shit that happened to me in Columbus. It was non-stop. But I'm grateful for those experiences that happened to me when I lived in my own place, because it built the armor that got me through this situation. I'm noticing that all the you guys already know, all the black magic, all the spell work, all the stuff that people did to try to take me out, to get me to lose jobs, to lose finances, to lose stability, to lose all those things prepared me. And every time, the goal was always for me to take myself out. The goal was, excuse me, oh, I never sneeze. I love to sneeze. The goal was for me to take myself out, go back to using drugs or whatever it was. And it never worked, because once I realized who I was and what my purpose was, and the community that I was finding, like on this app, there was no, it was just not going to happen. I mean, there's nothing that can be done, especially not at this point. So anyway, I thought the anxiety was just me readjusting. But I noticed it was such a small studio apartment that she had tons of spiritual stuff everywhere, like tons of stones everywhere, which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these things, but if you don't put intentions for your stones, if you don't, cleanse your stuff, and a lot of stuff, like if the stuff that was right in front of me, first of all, there was mirrors, and so I would wake up and I could see her watching me when I was asleep, first of all, but that was later on. But not only that, but she had like these pyramids, like this woman that she said she walked away from, that I also did not have a good experience with when I got a sound healing from her. That's where I cut her off, because I figured she was part of the cult too. There's a big cult here in the spiritual community. It's so, like, I mean, people talk about religious people, but it's just as bad, if not worse, in the spiritual community. And they go hand in hand. But anyway, and so after about 2 or 3 days, it kind of subsided a little bit. I got into my meditations. Like, I was getting stronger and stronger. And so after the second week or so, she wanted to have a conversation. It was like she thought I was her in-house shaman. I mean, I was a student of shamanism for 2 years. Of course, I don't even really identify that much with it, because it was a sham too. So, but she was like asking for guidance on certain things, and the conversation, I documented it. It was like a 45-minute conversation, right? And it was, of course, always when we first get in situations, we really want to help people. Anytime I communicate with somebody, I don't care what their perception is. Like, I always come from a healing place and a loving place, and a place of helping people and teaching them how to heal themselves and not to look outside of them, so they don't become a victim like I was in the community. And so, out of that 45-minute conversation, there was a 10-minute conversation. And I said, she said, well, I just don't know why I have all these symptoms, why I'm always sick, why. And she always thought, I mean, her reason for everything that happened to her was spell work. I mean, everything that was happening to her, in my mind, oftentimes I'm like, it's probably fucking karma. You know what I'm saying? Like, there comes a time in our life when we have to take responsibility for our actions and our thoughts upon other people. But after, we had this conversation, and I talked to her about 10 minutes, and I said, because the stuff that she had, like, on this table in front of the couch there, was all made by, like, this woman that she no longer was with. And I was telling her that I felt a huge release once I threw away all this shit that my shaman teacher gave me, the other students gave me, and other people, like gifts people gave me. I threw all that shit out, because I know that people put spell work on gifts. That's why I'm really reluctant about taking anything from anybody. At least I was then. Now I have a lot of discernment, and I ask spirit first. But anyway, and I was also telling her, I said, you have, and it was a loving place. I was like, you have all these stones here. And I said, and I had to learn the hard way. Actually, an old job, someone said, well, what stones did you bring to work? Because I was my gifts were just popping off at work one day when I was working with people with disabilities, and one of the coworkers was like, well, what stones did you grab today? And I was like, that's when I started to learn about which stones you put together, and to be very careful. And so I was just sharing my experience with her, what happened to me. Like, this is what happened to me, and I said, I don't know what your cleansing practices are, even though I'd been there 2 weeks and I had not seen her sage or cleanse the space really at all. I mean, she would do it, but not open stuff up and not do a prayer. It wasn't a judgment, but I mean, this is just my practice. Like, I have a certain way to cleanse homes and to cleanse my stuff. And we're getting ready. If it cuts off, there will be a part 2. And so part of that conversation was, I was like, you have all these stones out here, and it's like it's holding all this energy. And I said, that's probably why you feel erratic a lot. That's probably why you feel depressed. That's probably why you feel a bunch of different things. It's because you got all the, I didn't say shit, but you got all this shit around here with all this energy attached to it, and everything that's attached to these items, of these people who you said did spell work on you, who you said harmed you, who you said did you dirty. And so, so we'll go to part 2 for how she flipped out on me on that, okay?